Hello everyone and welcome to today's session on the new features and improvements within the version 30 accounts release. My name is Abby and I'm going to be your host for this morning. We may also have Michael be joining us today on questions. So like I say, do keep your questions coming throughout the session, and when Michael joins us he'll be picking those up, but I'll also be picking them up myself when and where I can. The session will last around 45 minutes. That'll depend if we have any questions outstanding at the end. If we don't, then we will look to end the session a little bit earlier, so you may get some time back. Just a reminder, like on every session, you are going to receive a link to the recording from today's session, which will be included in your follow-up email. So I know we'll talk a lot about loads of different things today. So you know, if you do find it a little bit overwhelming, then you are welcome to watch that recording and revisit some of those features. Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping before we start. So what you'll see is when you join, you will be placed on mute automatically. If you want to ask any questions, then you can use the questions panel down the right-hand side. And that's just the icon that looks like a little speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. So if you click on that icon, it'll open up the questions panel and you can send your questions across to us. We do also have a handout for today. You can download this by clicking on the button that looks like a little document with the folded corner. We would recommend downloading this as it does have some helpful links to our help centre, and it won't be available after the session has ended. So we always recommend to download the handouts whilst you're on the session. Okay, so this is what we're going to be covering on today's webinar. So we're going to introduce the version 30.1 installation information. Now we're not going to be going through the install itself, but there's just some things that you may need to consider before upgrading. We'll then move on to the version 30.0 release. So that was released in January of this year. And that's where we introduced the AI report finder, we improved the bank feeds rules, and also we introduced the 64-bit compatibility. And then towards the end, we'll look at the version 30.1 features. So this is where you're now able to import statements into your bank feeds module. And also as well, you're able to restore a backup into practice data. What I'm going to do now is I just want to launch a poll on your screen. And I just want to know what version of the Sage 50 account software are you currently using? So is it version 26 and below, version 27, version 28, version 29, or version 30 if you're already on version 30? If you're not sure how to get that information, you can just go to help and then about, and then in the very top left hand corner under program details, you will see your version number. So I can see the votes are already coming in quite quickly now. So what we like to do is we usually wait until we get around 70%. So we'll just give it a little bit longer for those to find those version numbers. Again, if you go to help along the top in your software and then into about in that drop down. Okay, so we've got around 70%. So what I'll do is I'll close that poll down. Don't worry if you haven't voted already. Okay, so as you can see, we've got no one that has voted on version 27 or below. So we've got 28% of you on version 28, 52% of you on 29, and 20% of you already on version 30. So it's really great to see that a lot of you are already on the later versions of the software. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll hide that poll down and we'll get straight into it. Okay, so installing. So when will you get access to version 30.1? So this was actually released around May time, so it is available now. So it might be that if you want to wait for your auto update prompt in your software, you may have already received communication regarding this, or you can just go and manually install it from the Help Center. So where do you get access to that install and support? So you can visit, we've got an install hub. So you can visit sage.co.uk/install. And then you've just got generalized support in the Help Center, which is just directly going to sage.co.uk/help. If you've got the handout downloaded, then you will be able to click on those hyperlinks in green. Just a question there from Neil that I want to cover. When you upgrade, does it transfer the invoice templates automatically, or do we need to save them and reinstall? So when you upgrade, it should transfer all of those customized layouts and reports that you have. But what we always do recommend is that you always take a full backup before you upgrade. Then in the event that something doesn't transfer or convert, then you've got that backup. So always take a full backup before you install or upgrade. Okay, so just the importance of upgrading. So there's 4 key points that I want to highlight. So the first one is compliance. So you want to remain compliant with all regulatory requirements. You want to future-proof your software to stay in line with system updates and changes, such as your Microsoft operating system. Security. So you want to keep your data secure with the latest technology and protocols. And then you've got efficiency. So you want to keep up to date with the latest enhancements and including your automation to ensure processes are efficient as possible. Now, before you upgrade, we want to talk about the compatibility of your operating system. So to ensure compatibility and our optimal performance, installation of version 30.1 will be restricted to the following operating systems. So you must be on one of the following to be able to use version 30.1. So this includes Windows 11, Windows 10, and if you're using a server, you must be using Server 22, Server 2019, or Server 2016. So users who are not on these systems are encouraged to upgrade to a more recent version of Windows to access the latest features and security enhancements. So something to be mindful of before upgrading if you have multiple machines with Sage installed, and if they're on different operating systems to each other, one of them does fall outside of this list, they will not be able to upgrade to version 30.1. And remember, everyone must be on the same version of Sage 50 accounts to be able to access the data. Okay, so enough about the, like you say, the installation, the compatibility. All of that information will be in the install hub, which I mentioned earlier. It's going to have system checks, so what you do prior to upgrading, make sure you're doing your backup and things like that. So let's get on to the improvements. So as you can see, over the years, we have listened to your feedback and suggestions and implemented them into the software. So for example, version 28, we introduced business dashboards and remote data access improvements. Version 29, we introduced the Get Help feature and started the improvements with the bank feeds. Now, a lot of these are quite big changes, but some of them can be quite small. So, for example, character increase for product description and part numbers. So to some of you, that might not have much impact, but to someone else, that could be quite significant change and help them with their day-to-day processing. So now we're at version 30. So let's take a look at what we have implemented so far in the version 30.0 back in January, sorry, and then what we've released in version 30.1 from May. Okay, so let's start with version 30.0. So the first one I want to talk about is the AI Report Finder. So this is our first AI-powered feature in Sage 50 accounts. It uses everyday language to search for the reports that you need. It will search through hundreds of reports across all modules. So when you're searching, it's not searching for just the report in the module that you're in. It'll search across the program. The report finder makes it easier than ever to find the right reports. Now, to use Report Finder, you will need to have a Sage account linked to your company. It is available in each module. The first time you access the reports window, you will be prompted to enable the Report Finder. And once you've performed your search, you can rate the results to help improve future searches. So what I'll do now is I'll do some demonstration. So we'll pop over to my Sage. Okay, so we'll go, for example, we'll just go into customers, and then we'll go into reports. Now, if you've got reports favorited, it will not open up the report finder straight away. If you don't, it will open in report finder. Because we've got favorites, we're going to click into report finder, and you'll find it down the left-hand side, just under favorites. So this is what it'll look like once it's been enabled. So you've got your search bar, your search button, and you've got a clear button as well. So if we just click on how does this work, it gives you a little bit more information. So you want to use simple everyday language and just ask as if you're chatting with a colleague. Now, if you do want to learn more about AI and everyday language searching, there is a link there that you can have a look at. Now you can see here you've got some examples to try. Now these examples are specific to the area of the software that we're in at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll just click one of these. So could you summarize the payments we've received from our key customers? So I'll click try it now. And what it'll do, it'll be searching across the board, so across the software, to find that information. So you can see I've now got 24 results. That means that's 24 possible reports that could help me find that information. Now you might look through these reports and it might be still something that you know, doesn't suit exactly what you need. So you can't find what you're looking for. At the very bottom, you've got the option for try our report library. So if you click on that, I'm just going to drag this across as it has opened on my other screen. We'll let this load. Do apologise, it's been a little bit slower than usual. There we go. So as you can see, you've got the Sage 50 account report library. So you've got the normal visit the normal report library. Then you've got the advanced report library. Now some of these do require you to have Sage cover to be able to use these reports. If you still can't find what you need, then you can then see we've got this option here, and this is the report design service. So if you find that you still can't find what you're looking for, you might need something a little bit more bespoke, then we do offer a report design service where you get a free quote from that team. Okay, so going back to this report finder window, this is where you're going to rate your results in the very bottom right hand corner. So how are these results? You give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and that's going to help us in future searches. Now you can see I'm still in customer reports. But if I clear this search out and I type in, for example, can I see my P&L by department? And I click search. Now that's in a completely different area to you know, where I need to get this information. But if I click search, what it's going to do is it's going to look, no matter where I am in the software, it's going to always look across the board. So you can see now I've got 23 results. That's 23 possible reports that might help you get that information. So you can see I've got all of those in that list. Now, if I was to do this without Report Finder, I would have to come out of Report Finder, go into departments. It might be to one of these ones that I need to use, or I'd go to reports, and I would have to look through this as well. So it's going to be a lot a lot slower by doing this manually. So it's a much quicker way to get access to the information that you need. Now, questions coming there from Karen, what is Sage Cover? So usually that is where you can get access to online support from us, so telephone support and things like that. So you can always contact our support team and they'll be able to help you with that. Or you might find it on an invoice if that's something that you pay for. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop back to my slides. If you do want any more information regarding the AI report finder, you will find all of that information on our help centre. Okay, so the next part I'm going to cover is all about 64-bit compatibility. So this was a common community hub request for that there was a Sage became compatible with 64-bit applications. So it'll now integrate with the likes of Microsoft Office, so Outlook and Excel. You will have enhanced performance, and that's due to increased available PC memory. Now, with version 30, you will be given a default installation of 64-bit. If 32-bit is needed, so if you've still got a 32-bit machine, it will be available from the Help Centre, but it will need to be installed manually. Also to note, there will no longer be automatic updates for versions, update prompts in your software if you're still using a 32-bit version of Sage 50 accounts. Updates will still be available, but again, they will just have to be installed manually, whereas 64-bit will be given a prompt. Now, a common question we get is, well, how do I know which one I'm using? Am I using 32 or 64? So I have provided a guide on your handout there in the green hyperlink along the bottom. I've also provided a guide in the top right-hand corner. This is something that you can provide to your IT or whoever manages your systems if they need more information about the 64-bit compatibility. Okay, so coming back to the timeline from earlier, you can see, especially from version 29, where we really started to implement changes to bank feeds by changing the look and feel. In version 30, we've continued those improvements by updating the Create Bank Feeds Rules window, the Rules Approval screen, and updating the Manage Rules window. You also now have the ability to import your statements. So, some banks refer to it as a statement, some banks refer to it as just a downloaded list of your transactions. And it's for those banks that are not compatible with an automatic feed. But let's take a look at that in more detail. So Bank Feeds Rules user interface has been updated and enhanced to provide a modern end-to-end user experience, making it easy to set up and manage rules. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about bank feeds, as we do have dedicated sessions. We do a bank feeds series that we've been doing for over a year. But bank feeds, automatic feeds will basically link to your bank account and download transactions that have happened in real life. What you can do with the bank feeds rules is you can set up a criteria. So when that transaction is downloaded from your bank and it hits the criteria created by the rule, it will then either create it automatically, if that's the option you have chosen, or what it'll do is it'll create it, but it'll need approval before it's posted. So you have them two options. So again, it provides a modern enhanced experience and it simplifies the process. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a short video on what to expect when creating and managing rules in the new version. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll move into version 30.1, but we are going to continue with bank feeds because, like I said, this has been a huge focus over the last couple of versions. So moving into 30.1, so this is where we've introduced the ability to manually import a downloaded list of your transactions from your bank, and it just allows you real-time access to bank transactions. So you might be wondering, well, why would I use this feature? It might be that you have a bank that is not compatible with automatic feeds, but it still allows you to use the bank feeds module and all its functionality. And it might be that you've got other banks that are compatible. It might be that you do use automatic feeds. It might be that you've started off using bank feeds and you've got a lot of historical transactions. That might be that your predecessor hasn't used bank reconciliation within the software before. So you might have a lot of historical transactions that aren't marked as bank reconciled. So what you can do is you could, if you've got a list of those transactions from your bank, you can then import those in and then use the bank feeds feature like automatic matching that will detect and potentially suggest matches for those historical transactions. So it might speed up that process of reconciling those historical transactions. And also as well, you might want to top up transactions for banks that are connected to automatic feeds. So what I'll do now is I'll show you the next video demonstration on how to import your statements into the bank feeds module. Do keep your questions coming throughout the video as well so I can pick these up. Okay, so like I said, we do have a full webinar specifically on the importing the statements, and we go a little bit in more detail. And we also show you how to utilize the bank feeds as well. We had a good question coming there from Carolyn. So new to bank feeds, if we have more than one company in Sage, several bank accounts in the same bank, I presume it can distinguish between them. So as you can see via that example, I would imagine you would have each of your accounts set up in Sage. So then when you come to link it on the, what I'll do actually, I'll pop to my bank feeds homepage and I'll share my screen. So what you'll see is you'll have one bank account set up for 1200, one for 1210, and when you click get started and you choose your bank, if it's an automatic feed, you'll choose from the specific bank, even if it's the same one, and then you just pop in the relevant details per account that you have. So I would imagine you may have different details for different ones, but then you would just link it to the relevant one that you've got for it in Sage. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop back to my slides. And I'm just going to cover the last main feature in version 30.1. So in version 30.1, we've introduced the option to restore backups into the existing practice data feature. So the benefits, so you get access to a copy of your data in a practice environment. You can go into this backup in practice data and run reports. So it might be that you don't have a company archive for when you've done year end or whatever, but you need to, maybe run reports in a prior financial year. You could use this option to restore an old backup from a prior financial year and run those reports. You could learn processes without impacting live data. So in previous sessions, I've actually had someone say, well, actually, I'm going to use this feature to train new staff because they've got realistic customers, realistic data, but it's not going to impact your live data. Beauty of it as well is that other users can continue working in your live data whilst you're in the practice environment. And also as well, it just avoids, especially if you're using connected services, it avoids just having to resync the connected services when you restoring backups in as well. But also it avoids that worry of overwriting anything or restoring old backups and things like that. Please note, before I go into demonstration, that the practice data will be cleared and reset upon exiting. So it won't save where you're up to, it will clear when you come out and go back into your live company. Let's take a look at this in action. So I'll pop back over to my software. So there's two ways in which you can access this. So you can access it when you launch Sage and you have your company selection screen, and you can just select practice data from there. Alternatively, when you're in your live company, you just go to File in the top left, and then just under the normal restore option, you've got restore into practice company. So we'll click on this option here. Now, when you go in through your company, it will only give you the option to use your data rather than when you go into company selection screen, you do get the use the blank data option as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to browse to the backup file. So I'll click browse. It's going to pop to my desktop and I'm going to get my backup. So you can see that my backup is from August last year. So it's an old backup and we know that it's going to be on an older version. So that's absolutely fine as well if it is on an older version. So we'll use this backup. So I'll click open. I'll click continue. It will tell me where the backup has been saved on my machine. It'll tell me the company name and also what version the backup is in as well. So we'll click restore at this point. Now, I've got next to nothing in this company, so the backup is going to be quite small. So don't worry if yours takes a little bit longer, you might have more information in there. So it does do a check data. So I've got no problems to report on data files. So let's give me the report. I'll click close. Now it's going to get you to log in, and it will be requiring the details that existed at the time that the backup was taken, sorry. So if your password has changed since then, you will need to enter the password that existed at the time the backup was taken. So I'll enter my password. And now you can see that I know that I'm in practice data because I get a bright yellow banner along the top. Now some features have been removed or hidden. So the likes of you don't have connected services within practice data. If we go to the file menu, you can't delete the company, you can't take a backup, you can't use the schedule backup option, and you can't use the normal restore option. Now, if you might be using this feature to look at historical data, run reports, and it might be that you need to, maybe you've restored 1 year in and you maybe need to restore another year in. You can still restore, you just use the same option, so restore to practice company, and then you can select a different backup. Now you might want to come in here and you might want to put maybe, for example, come into customers, you might want to have a look at some historical data. Might be that you want to run reports, might be that you want to try on a different screen, you might want to try and practice posting an invoice. Might be a little bit more complicated, you want to test it before you post it into your live data. So you could practice a process. Same with if you wanted to run management reports, you could go into nominal codes and you've got your management reports along the top. Another thing that you could do, so if you want to practice, or you might have someone who's new to the business and they need to learn how to practice a process, ending a transaction or something like that. So for example, let's just say they wanted to change this invoice. If you go to edit along the top, just give me that warning, we're going to click continue. It might be that we come into this window here. I'll go, actually, do you know what? I'm not entirely sure what I need to be doing. So if you click on help, it's opened on another screen, 1 second, there we go. In version 29 and above, this is where this help feature was introduced. What it does is when you click help as well, if you're in specific areas of the program, it will ask you, it will show you, topics or content that is relatable to where you are in the program. So you can see here, it knows I'm in the edit screen and it's already given me a guide on correcting transactions. So we can scroll down to the edit section and then I can follow the steps on here. What I can do is I can drag this around, I can make it bigger, make it smaller, open it in browser, but I can actually then do the steps that I need to do whilst the guide is still open as well. And you can do this in your live company as well, not just in the practice environment. So you can do the steps and then if you get the desired outcome, great. You can then go into your live company. Even so, if you need to get the guide up again, you can do that as well. Okay, so if we just close that down. To get back to your live company, you simply just go to File in the top left, down to Open Company Data, and then we just open the company and pop in our live login details. And that's how we know we're now back in the live company. We no longer have that bright yellow banner along the top. Questions just come in there from Neil. Can you advise how to change your password? I will quickly show you since we're already in the software. If you just go to Settings, User Management, and then in there you'll see the Change Your Password option. Now you won't be able to do that in the backup. Obviously it won't save, but you've got that option in your live company. Okay, so I'll pop back to my slides and we'll just cover the last enhancement. Again, if you do have any further questions, do pop them over now before we wrap up the session. Okay, so the last enhancement I'm going to cover is the Manage Cloud Connection Wizard. So the aim is to streamline the process of reconnecting your connected services should you need to do so. So for example, if you're using remote data access or bank feeds. So users accessing these services may see this wizard once you've upgraded to version 30.1. So this is, like I say, to ensure seamless operation, and it validates the authentication tokens in the background of the software. Please note, other scenarios may also trigger this wizard, such as restoring a backup or Sage account details lapsing. Okay, so I have given you a lot of information today, but I do want to provide you with a guide called the Upgrade Matrix. So this is going to help you see all the features that I've shown you today, but also allows you to see the features that are available in previous versions as well. So if you've got the handout downloaded and you click on the Upgrade Matrix, that will take you straight to that guide. Alternatively, in the Help Center, if you just type in Upgrade Matrix, we'll search for that. And then you click on Sage 50 Account Upgrade Matrix. So this guide is really useful. Also, if you want to compare variants, so you might be that you're looking to upgrade your variant and you want to see what other features you're going to get access to. So we're going to just focus on compare versions today. So we'll click on compare version. And for example, we'll just say I'm on version 27. So we'll click on that version that we're upgrading from. And what it's going to do is it's going to provide you with a list of everything that was introduced in version 28, 29, and version 30. So you know if you're on version 27 and you're going to upgrade to version 30, because you can't jump straight up to that version, you know you're going to get access to everything in 28, everything in 29, and everything in version 30. So that's quite a lot of improvements and enhancements that you'll get access to. Now you don't need to use all of these, but it might be worth having a look at this guide. You can click on each one of these options, and it'll just give you more information on that topic. That's a really, really helpful one as well. I also provide on your handout as well, if you want to submit your feedback on any suggestions and ideas on the improvements that you want to see in the 50 account software. So we've got something called the Community Hub. I've mentioned it prior on this session. So I have provided a link. This is where you can log in. You can. It also is a forum as well. So if you need that extra support, you can ask a question, and people can answer those as well. So you have got access to the Community Hub there as well. Just before we go through upcoming webinars, I just want to mention how you can grow your knowledge. So you can find out more about our one-to-one bespoke training. So if you are interested, we do training bundles that might be on stock control, construction industry scheme, banking, debtors and creditors, and also Sage professional features if you are looking to upgrade your license. You can get a personalised quote by contacting our team on UKI Sage University at sage.com. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through some upcoming webinars. Please do get your questions across now, and I will pick them up afterwards. Well, after this bit here. So we'll go through upcoming. So we've got the budget series. We've got various dates for that. We've also got the bank feed series, as I've mentioned on today's session. You can find that by going to sage.co.uk/webinars. Alternatively, the link is going to be included in your follow-up email. We've also got sessions on two-factor authentication, clear audit trail, company archive, year end as well. Another event we've got coming up is the International Accounting Day, which is on the 10th of November. So we're doing sessions from the 5th to the 12th. We've got loads of exciting topics to cover, and it is a digital badge event as well. So if you attend 4 out of the 4 of the sessions, including the quiz at the end, then you will earn a digital badge. But what I'll do now is I'll show you a short video explaining more topics. Okay, so it doesn't seem like the video is playing. You will find all of the registration links for the topics on our registration page. Okay, so that does bring us to the end of today's session. Please feel free to stay around for the next minute or so if you do have any further questions to ask before I wrap up the session. If you've got what you need today and you want to leave the session, you will receive an email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if needs be. Upon exiting the session, you will see a survey at the end. If you could please let us know any feedback regarding today's session, any comments or feedback would be really appreciated. We do always love to read those to improve our future sessions. Okay, so there's one question there from Iman. How do I change the email for manager logon? That's not something that we're going to be covering in today's session, but you will find plenty of support on our help centre. Okay, so there's no further questions to be answered. So what I'll do is I want to wrap the session up. I want to say thank you to you all for your participation today. And just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks, so don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say another thank you and take care.